With the expansion of coronavirus, many companies are sending their people to work from home in virtual teams. I'm in contact with professionals working for some of the largest global companies, and all their meetings have been cancelled. They have to rearrange it in virtual meetings. Are you in a position to lead or manage a virtual team? In this video, I'll give you the 10 key success factors for leading virtual teams, motivating home office workers, and delivering outstanding results. Deploying successfully virtual teams becomes our key weapon to tackle the effects of Corona on our economy and society. Over the last 25 years, I've been leading and coaching many virtual teams. And I developed a highly effective method called virtual power teams. Why highly effective? For example, we delivered a 2-year project involving 20 countries in Europe, and we saved 250,000 euros. And I've been working with global multinationals, regardless what is the size of your company, it works. We've been working with global multinationals, going for productivity, integrating teams distributed in several locations, working with small and medium-sized businesses, integrating partners, and for sure also with scale-ups, which go remote. They go home office workers anyway. Some of them, even 1,000+ people, don't have a single office. So the scenario of Corona have been tested several times. And from all these experiences, I can tell that the virtual team is like the atom, where you have a nucleus and then you have various particles flying around. In a virtual team, we aim to retain the gravity despite the distance. The gravity between the individual team members, which are the particles, towards the nucleus, which is not the manager or the entrepreneur. This is the purpose and the goal of the team. I've summarized all my experiences in a book, and for my surprise and delight, it's been published by now in 6 languages, being English, German, Bulgarian, my mother tongue, Polish, Spanish, and recently Chinese. And it's been 1 week Amazon top 3 in the international management category. Now, if we want to implement the virtual power teams method for your team, you need to lead now, we'll do it in 3 parts. The first part is, if we imagine your team as a human body, the first part is the head, the logical part. And here, we'll start with the very first big rock, namely personality in focus. Here, your team members, home office workers, will present themselves with a lifeline. So you have the moments, you have the time and the moments which people are most proud of, they achieved most, but also the moment where it was most difficult, and they nevertheless managed to overcome. There are also 4 magical questions, which when people introduce themselves in such a way, you start seeing the interpersonal relationships, and the distance is no longer a barrier. Now, then we will do the second big rock, which is strengths matrix. Here we will discover the natural strengths and talents of your people. They will coach each other with a predefined set of questions, and in the end, we will have a strength matrix, which if each and everyone will have his strengths and natural talents listed. In a poorly led virtual teams, people feel anonymous. They feel just like a resource. Here, on the contrary, when they see the mix of skills available, the mix that everyone brings to the table, they start feeling like hero on one hand, and on the other, with this mix of skills, we could achieve everything. The third big rock then takes a bit more time, is interdependent goals. So here we will set a strategic goal for your team. And it is a process. It's also described in the book. We will discover the hottest issues. And regardless how smart are you as a manager, if you set the goal, it will be suboptimal in virtual teams and with home office workers. So we'll do it bottom up, discover the topics, convert it into smart goals, and build strategic roadmaps. And here people will choose their sub-goals and milestones. There will be no delegation, and they will justify it with their strengths. So there will be a lot more commitment to their goals. Then we will do the second part. The first was the head, the logical part, which the goal is clarity. Who is a member of the team and what is the goal of the team? The second part is the body. This is the dynamic part, the skeleton and muscles. Here we will define what forums and agenda you need for your team in order to establish this communication that you need. I mean, so far it was okay. Everybody was in the office. But now with the home office workers, what is the structure? How we can do it in a way that everyone in these meetings have a slot to contribute and shine. In the poorly led teams, usually the manager dominates the discussion. If there is a problem, sometimes starts finger pointing, which is suboptimal. We'll make sure that the format is put in such a way that everyone can contribute and shine. Then we will define knowledge management. We'll discover the topics and we'll put custodians based on their strengths to lead the topics. And then we will establish a regular feedback. Sometimes feedback is scarce in local teams. Now in the home office scenario, even more. Here we will establish an institutionalized feedback. So here we'll establish a structured communication, not a manager-centric or problem-centric, but a structured one where everyone can contribute and shine. And the third part, my favorite, is the heart. So here we will see how we can recognize the progress of your team members and home office workers. Do you know what's the reason for people leaving companies? By far, number one reason, this is lack of recognition by their line manager. So they leave line managers, not companies. So here, over the 25 years, I've collected a large pool of ways to recognize progress despite the distance. So here we'll tune it for your reality and your team. Then comes diversity. That's number 9. If you have a multinational team with different cultures, we will define the optimal team culture on the 3 scales. First is leadership. Second one is decision-making. And the third one is conflict. And the team will decide their optimal position on the scale and will reflect what can I do and what our leader can do to enable this culture. Number 9 is winning spirit. How can you establish the winning spirit? And here I work with appealing prize for outstanding performance. For example, remember bringing 30 people to Tenerife, Canary Islands. And that was exactly the project, a global shared services project, when we need to transfer 20 countries in Europe to the shared services. And we managed to do it 3 months early and we saved 250,000 euros. But that was in advance. In advance, we said, if we make it 1 year, 3 months, 1 year before the end of the project, the goal was set. If we make it 3 months earlier, and only then everyone involved in the project goes. Now, for Corona scenario, this is a little bit different, but still there is a way to let the team decide what is appealing for them if they reach really high, outstanding results. And number 10, usually I keep this a surprise, but this is next generation leaders. So for your teams, if you have millennials or digital natives, how can you integrate them? And how to build a virtual power teams. Now you have the strategic team and then further teams in order to deliver your strategic agenda. For example, if we apply, the 10 big rocks for your organization, your team will become a virtual power team. And results are speaking for themselves. For example, in 2012, we got the Global IT Connect Award. In a global scenario, we were breaking the silos between the different departments. We had several hubs and several satellite numbers and a big number of home office workers, and therefore was the Global IT Connect Award. Let me give you one very short example. Client of mine run MOOCs. You know what is MOOC? MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Course. And he's been teaching modern architecture, but in a practical scenario. So he was teaching how to build resilient schools for Philippines. After the tsunami destroyed the infrastructure in the Philippines, the government decided to build the schools so resilient and robust, so there will be schools in the normal times, but in a case of natural disaster, they'll provide shelter for the people. And he had a 6 weeks video input, recorded video, so he was giving instructions, and then people were submitting their projects step by step. And in the end, if successfully completing the course, they would receive their certificate. But what happened? Week number 5, people learned enough for free, they were dropping out. Why for free? He was collecting money in the end. Only for those successfully completed, they would pay and get the certificate. They didn't care so much about the certificate, it was more about the learning. So to tackle this, we had an online session. We discussed and then we broken down the people in the groups of 5. Not us, it's a mammoth task. So self-organized, get together in a group of 5, based on proximity, time zone, whatever principle they wanted to apply. And then for these groups of 5, they present, each of the team member present themselves with their lifeline, and then they discover their strengths, and then they split the work. As a group of 5, they were developing only one project, not 5 individual. They split the work and they started developing. And when the critical week 5 came, they just couldn't let their team members down. In the end, 27,000 people remained until the end, which resulted in 400,000 revenue increase. It was almost 500,000. Now, let's see, how can you make your team a virtual power team? I can give you three options. So one is to have a keynote, online keynote, where you could invite the entire organization, if you wish. Could be a much larger audience for online, and you, within like 1.5 hours, you can get the principles of the 10 big rocks with examples and with exercises. We could do a tailored workshop for your team, or perhaps for the senior management team or the middle management, to tune it for your industry, for your time zones and your cultures involved. Or maybe the fastest, the most flexible and result-oriented session would be this online masterclass, which starts in early April. And here you will go through the process. It is 1 week, 3 times, 3 days, 2 hours per day. So within 6 days, within 6 hours, within 1 week, you can get the basics and you can tune the 10 big rocks for your particular team, and you can learn from the interchange with the other like-minded managers and get a certificate. So if you are inspired by the virtual power teams, if you want to build a structured communication for your team, and if you want to build to get your team to the next level, then make a photo of the slides or click the link in the description of the video, and I look forward seeing you online and guiding you through the 10 big rocks and tuning them for your team and your reality. Let me conclude with one thought which has guided me through the years. And particularly now in the times of Corona, where people are working from home alone with their families, some of them or most of them, the thought goes like this. If you dream alone, this is just a dream. If we people dream together, this is the beginning of a new reality. I look forward to engaging with you and seeing you online.